My name is Driuni Jakan. I come up with the idea to establish a youth empowerment and development aid, formerly known as the Lacha Community and the economic development. South Sudan have been in the war for over 50 years. If I can talk about the war in South Sudan from 1955 to 1972 and 1983 to 2005. So basically, these phases of the war in South Sudan affect all sectors of the life of South Sudanese people, specifically youth, those ones who are born within the period of the war. So one of the most affected area is education. Most of our youth who grow up in South Sudan during 1983 to 2005 have not got an opportunity to go to school. And basically that makes their progress become pretty difficult. Only the few youth who got an opportunity to go to refugee, perhaps they managed to get access to education, but majority of our youth did not get opportunity to go to school. So when peace was signed, a comprehensive peace agreement was signed in 2005, when I was still working for UN. When I come back home, I can see the life of our youth is in total mess. So they don't know how to manage their life. You see this area is one of the green belt zone, but they cannot even plan to improve farming that can help their livelihood, but at the same time to feed themselves. So with that one, I think it is something that we need to work collectively and bring up youth to really manage their life. They can be able to support their family, send their children to school, and so on. But not only that, within that section, during the war, let me say the tradition of this community here, specifically because we focus in areas of Mundri. During the war, Mundri was a front line. Mundri East was a Sudan government arm, and then the Mundri West was a SPLA rebel. So from 1986 to 2005, there was no school here. This is completely front line, and people moved away from here. So you look at that one. In 1986 to 2005, no education. That generation is totally finished. So what happens was this area being as a front line, it exposes our youth, especially ladies, in a miserable life. If you can do your own survey here in Mundri, you will find most of the ladies here have children, but they are single mothers. The reason being was like they have been exploited by the military. Like sometimes they were forced to have sex with the military without to. They don't like it, but because they want protection, it pushes them to do that. So most of these children born around that time were like single parents, or some of them we call them bastard children, or whatever. You can tell me the way you see. So those children doesn't have a family that can support them. So my idea was like, first of all, to come up with an organization that we can develop proposals, we can work together, support women to be able to take care of their children, and also to support the youth who are not able to go to school, because like someone of 18 years, 20 years, you can't enroll in a primary school. So we are looking at modalities that we can empower them, train them technically, have a skills that they will be able to help their family and help themselves. That is the reason why we decided to come up with the organization.
Okay, thank you very much. Sit down. This is PE7. Yeah, they are here 39 number, 16 girls, and the rest are boys. So the challenge which we are facing here with them is we don't have desks. Since this one is a community school, we managed to fix the poles for them to sit. So we don't have desks, but the classroom is a bit. The windows are not fixed because it is a community school. We are trying by ourselves. Yes, we are trying by ourselves. Good morning, class.
Good morning, teacher.
How are you?
We are graduating, teacher.
Okay. This is one. Very nice. Yeah. They are also sitting inside. But we managed to put them under this tree. Good children. And we have 60 of them. But this week, in case of time, most of them come sick because of COVID. So that's why you see the number is not really 60. That is it. Ingakuru. Ningode longo.
Bye bye. Bye bye to you, Jesus. Bye bye to you, Jesus. Mr. Kamande. Bye bye. Bye bye to you, Jesus. Bye bye to you, Jesus. Mr. Kamande. Mr. Mitty everywhere. Mr. Mitty in the sky. Mr. Mitty everywhere. Mr. Kamande.
Sit down.
Thank you.
When you move around, you can see there is a school everywhere in this county or this area. And I have no reason to say there is no education. But the problem here is education and quality education. So like now you can go to one of the primary school, ask a child of P5. Maybe the person cannot even express himself in English. They don't know because the level of education is low. The reason being was like we don't have the sufficient funding for education, either from government or from other sectors. So people look at building schools, but not maintaining the quality of school. So maintaining quality of school, we need to look at the private and public partnership. That like, if we as an organization build a school, we need really private partnership to make sure that people were enlightened about the importance of the education. But the idea was like to build the school so that we'll be able to introduce a quality school. Building school is, we wanted to put that area as a sustainable development goal experimental hub. So like we will have vocational training, we can have a primary school, we can have small health center, and we can also have another skills training around there. So like the whole area will try to provide skills to a different, in a different level, to a different types of people, and we are taking gender as one of the one of our priorities, because like we have seen from our previous project, women in this area does a lot in family. So we can't leave women behind. We need to really build support women so that like they will have that equal balance. And also we are trying our level best to make sure that like they are also empowered to, since they are contributing in the family, why not they also need to have access to resources. They can also own resources. That is my plan. As an organization, we bought a land like 10 minutes driving from here. It's called the Enigo, 12 hectares, and we have started using it as an agricultural experiment area.
They are all bada
في اسم ده بتاع الزراعة بتاعنا في طرف الشارع على بعد من هنا ماس بكده ده كله 12 إيكا ده اللي كله أنا زرع مع ده اللي كله بشريف وبفول بيجات هناك كله في جو هناك بعد كده بيمسوا في حاجات وشارع الماس ده ده الدخول بتاع ده الدخول بتاع مال بتاعنا في فارم بتاعنا في بوست بتاعنا بتاع الزراعة بتاعنا ياو سريف عصا ده فضل له بس أسبوع واحد عشان إنه بيجي طلعوه منين عشان يمسكوه بيعملوا أفاسي له سريف على بينك سريف ده كمان برضو هو بيجا كبار جاز يلا على السريف على سكتات هنا ده second season هنا بيجا عملوا نمرة 2 ده second season ياهو أنينا عملوا first season أنا سكال فوقو بيجا كلاس تلا ده يا بيجا أنينا عملوا second جاج ده season بتاعه هنا ده ياهو سريف هو بيجا كلاس ده إيكا وايد ياهو يلا نينا عملوا في إيكا وايد ya binawariu line bitoa alwaida manatu bitala aje bita it nini buff line wide from 100 to 100 de bitala buff ya bitala it nini buff ya lo bega fagao kulu limukulu fi mal wide bitala yani half soil de ya wole de full de jazz biga kalas talao kulu yani bes dere bes lageto bardo kede silu alitani
ya kule
anna kede silu de fogo suf de to de ko bar kullu de no full amir bardo fi bafra kasafa ya oni nazaro kasafa fi malade kullu senino lo full de bega talao o kasaba de replace male de bardo anna bi bonfait fogo asen bisado community bitana ana ismi ya Michael Wajo ana ya manager bita zira alina sa alina fogo ana amulo itnasara eka o seed selana plant fogo وسويا مختلف في سريف في فول أو في سمسم and so on وده يا واجد كان أنا زرعه في فام مالا كان نعمله أصلا فوق ده الزراعة ده لو نعمله الزراعة ده كده زي بتاع 70 householders ده أو قاعدين يستفيد من فوقه.
عنده 8 عيال وعيال ده أنا كده ما في بيت الراجل تايس البيت هاي كمان متو أنا يا كان وارا توماني أنا كده اللي جاي صرف السوية يلا دورة السوية ما كده لك كتير بس السوية زي بعد مرات 2 بافو ولا 3 بافو ده ما بقدر أودي في السوق بس أنا كده ساعده بأكل العيال.
ده هو ناس بتاعي على سكال في الزراعة ناس على سكال في الزراعة معين في فام ده هم ياولي كله ده اللي هم بيجيني أسيتا جاينو شريف ده اللي كله ده كلاس دوم بيجا ياو قاعدين فاقا شريف ده جيل زمان بيقول في سولاد بيقول في ستور.
كان جاكسون كيريان كده حاليا ما أنا كان مسافر أكثر فرم بعيد المنع تسوق والله طبعا ده حاجة مهمة يعني في فاما أو في فاميلي بيساعد فاميلي في المرحلة كان يا زول بعمل كده ده بيساعد في الاتجاه مثلا كان في عنده جهان فوقه حاجة بيساعد زول بعمل شنو بيحاول ده بيساعده هنا بس شنو أنا بعرف ده حاجة مهم في سوق بتاعي بعد وانا كان يستقل كان قروس ولسه ما في زول كان ودين ده وانا بيساعد فاميلي بتاعي مو واثنين بتوع كان هو كان ودي قروس في الفترة اللي قاعدين لسه أنا بساعد شنو أنا بساعد أسرة بتاعي ده حاجة مهم في السوق بتاعه ده يا ليانا
علينا بعملوا كباكدور باكدور في أيام تانين في حاجات تانين يعني في جزء منه تانين بيجي يلقوا قروش ده كمان هو بيساعده في حاجات تانين وفي بعض ذاته إن كان ديس زي حاجات بتاع سريف شنو كده يجي ساقال فوقه يجربوا له سريف وده برضه يعني بيساعدوا فاميلي بتاعه ده لو أنينا لو عملوا لو بيجا يعني na harvest ya jada bega tala akuma zato biyak dreji biu minna sen wadiu fi ajada yalla gurusa na gi ligu fogode pardo annabi isagalo sogol tajrama في challenge أنا عنده في مال سوق بتاعيني في أجد الكل LCED سلنا جي زاردا LCED دل في عندهم يعني أجد كتير بيدستروي يعني أجدل سنينو زي دود زي اسم ده زي مكاكو بتاعبا سنو أجدل كله بيجي دستروي أجدل يلا الكاسن إنه دود تاني بيأكلوا سريف ده أو كتير في زراعة بتاعنا دي يعني تريجا لنا بيقدر يحلو ما في تريجا helping من donors تاني سنينو بيساعدوني بيساعدوا المشروع أنا فوقه سنينو هو مشروع ده أنا عنده الرئيس ندير عمل كبير يا أكبر من الأساس الناس رأيك أنا عمل ده بعدين نزيد يكونوا حاجة كبير خالص لكن دير له مساعد من ناس donors تاني سنينو من بيساعدوا أسمع سوق لنا بيمس مو قدام وبرضه ذاته أنينا دايرين كانينو بيجي تريني يعني نحن جل كانوا organization تاني كده يجي أسمع ساعد نينا ترين أنينا في سوق بتاع زراعة أسمع ناس زراعة نينا قاموا له ده أنينا يعني أنا train people ده بس نينا قاعد نعمله أسب بلنا الكان نينا عنده لكن نينا ما attend the training ده واجي أنا request إنه أسألينه في أي organization تاني كده يساعدنا أعمل لنا training يسنا بعرفه أنا بهندله أجاد ده كيف أنا بهندله وفاما بتاعنا كيف أنينا عندنا في عربية بتاعنا وايد عربية ده في زمن سيف ياهو بيلاقيتوا علينا قروش لو لقيتوا لنا قروش يعني بابدا سوق بتاعنا مو.
Our focus was on agriculture. So what we do is we do ox flower training. We group the youth sometimes back. We get them oxes and flowers. We train them on how to use ox flower and give them that ox flower so that they will be able to increase their production. But again, we also train them on how they can improve their skills in their planting. You know, traditionally we have this way of planting. You just scatter the seeds and you don't really put them in the right way. So what we do now is like to train them in spacing, time weeding, and use ox flower, like how they can prepare the land in a better way to increase their production. So our training is mainly on agriculture. Our general plan we have to the community is to work with the community to empower them, identify the local available resources in the community, then empower them on how they can make this use of local resources in their community to make sure that their livelihood has been improved. We really wanted to focus on education because education is the key sector that can make community understand the language of development, make community to move from one stage to another stage. So we have a very big focus to improve education in this community here to make sure that they were able to do the development by themselves. But my idea in next 10 years, by 2030, if all goes well, I definitely wanted to see like they have moved from the current situations. Like now, people don't have enough food because they don't know how to use the modern agriculture system. So in next 10 years, I want to see this community produce enough food. They are able to have a product that they can sell and improve their livelihoods in next 10 years. By 2030, that is my idea. Our major challenge is a resource. You know, in this country, we don't have the system from the government that we can get a government grant to use our brilliant idea. Like we would have a project. What we normally do was like we depend on the funding from the humanitarian donors, which is rarely happening, especially in areas of Mundri or Greater Equatoria in general. As you are aware, most of the funding in this country is being given to the life-saving humanitarian emergencies. So Greater Mundri and the Greater Equatoria in general was categorized as an area not really in a what they term it as a IPC 5. So most of the funding goes to those IPC 5, and then it is pretty difficult for us to get funding for our projects here. Not only that, but also like we don't have the access to the donors that were able to fund the development projects. Some of the donors might be there interested in what we are trying to do, and will be able in position to support, but we don't have that connection between ourselves and the donors. So mostly we work with the UN partners who are focusing on the life-saving emergencies, but we don't have the access to the private donors or individual donors.